Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stan?
I'm good. Well, everyone, welcome to another video from Robert and myself. We wanted to make a video today because there was a fairly significant announcement made by the Canadian government in respect of Hong Kong residents. So, Robert, do you want to quickly jump into that a bit?
Sure. I think there have been some indications from Canada, taking a certain stand because of, some turmoil in Hong Kong in the past year.
Hmm.
But these announcements sort of creating sort of new temporary and permanent resident pathways for Hong Kong residents. So they're definitely very interesting.
That's right. Yeah, and there's also some preferred or benefits that are being provided to Hong Kong residents just for kind of regular immigration pathways as well. So this announcement is quite expansive actually, and holistic in what they're trying to do. One of the things that I noticed right away in terms of a new program they're coming in is a work permit pathway for certain Hong Kong residents that meet a certain kind of background. Now we don't have all the details yet,
Mm.
but maybe you can quickly point out what seem to be the criteria they're going to look for.
Sure. So they've announced there's a new open work permit for up to 3 years for Hong Kong youth.
Hmm.
And it looks like they're looking at eligibility criteria based on whether they've had post-secondary education in Canada or even overseas in the last 5 years.
Hmm.
So this is interesting because, typically, open work permits after graduation. I mean, Canada has that post-graduation work permit program, but that's only if you study at an eligible institution in Canada. But
Hmm.
it looks like they're sort of broadening that sort of criteria.
It certainly does.
Mm.
I wonder whether there will be any sort of restrictions on the kind of institutions that they'll accept. But for now, I mean, for one thing, it looks like it might even be a second opportunity for Hong Kong residents who have studied in Canada to get almost like another post-graduation work permit, which which would be enormously advantageous. Because if they got like a first 3 year work permit and then returned to Hong Kong, for example, but still had a degree, an eligible degree within the last 5 years, they potentially could have another 3 year open work permit, which, as far as as far as seen, that's very is a very unusually beneficial option.
Yeah, well, like you said, details to follow,
That's
but
right,
this is certainly something that we'll have our radar on.
for sure.
Mm.
And then they're also introducing a permanent residence pathway.
Yeah, I mean, so the two permanent resident pathways that
That's
they've
right.
announced, details to be available next year, but we're only a couple of months away from next year.
Hmm.
So the first one is for a minimum of 1 year of work experience in Canada,
Hmm.
plus other criteria. Now, one would think that, well, don't we already have that in the Canadian experience class?
Hmm.
So I suppose it might be something different from the CEC,
Hmm.
but again, it will be something to look forward to.
For sure. And I'm curious if there's any element of tie-in to Express Entry, or whether it's going to be a separate program altogether. But we're both sitting here waiting for the details to come out. But that's certainly one as a significant development. And then there's a
Yeah,
second pathway for permanent residents that they've mentioned as well. Correct?
that's right. And that's not a lot of details on that. It just
Hmm.
says if you've graduated from a post-secondary institution in Canada,
Hmm.
and they can apply directly for permanent residence. Now, that's kind of odd. What does that mean? Does it mean that they can just come here, study, graduate, and then apply for PR?
Hmm.
We don't know, but certainly, I'm sure this has definitely gotten a lot of attention. Now, you made a very good point just now because under the current express entry system, even if we were looking at CEC, very often there are a lot of clients eligible for CEC, eligible for express entry, who may not have enough points under the comprehensive ranking system. If these programs fall outside of the comprehensive ranking system. In other words, if we're not looking at points, then that would be a major change
Yes,
for
very much,
potential applicants. Yeah.
very much so. And this could still come in, but I wonder if there might be even any variation in terms of minimum language requirements, which it's often one of the issues for people who are trying to navigate through the express entry system, just because of how much that system advantages very fluent English speakers or French speakers for that matter. But yeah, certainly these are major announcements that have come out, and I think we're all going to be waiting to see the details. But for Hong Kong residents who are looking at immigrating to Canada, these have to come as really, positive directions or developments in the Canadian immigration system.
Definitely. Now, sort of rounding off the announcements, I think they also made some announcements regarding IEC applicants.
That's right. Yeah, so it seems that the program, like with most IEC programs, have been frozen for most of the year because of COVID, but they are resuming. They're going to be resuming the Hong Kong IEC program to, again, help facilitate young Hong Kong residents who qualify to come to Canada and get their work permits. And so that again is just another one of the positive developments that we're seeing from this announcement.
Definitely. So, I mean, altogether, very interesting announcements, details to follow. So, but I think it's a step in the right direction, and we certainly want to see what comes out in the next few months.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks, Robert. I think this will be definitely of great interest and something to follow. So I guess when there's more information available, we can touch base again at that point.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care.